What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F122 My Team career mode. Last time out we were at the Chinese Grand Prix, and after taking pole we fell away before a Norris DNF left us picking up the win. Yeah, we will never know for certain whether we would have won if not for Norris's DNF. We were catching him towards the end, but either way we were gifted it by the gods of unreliability at McLaren. This time out we're going to be at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in Imola, and if you've watched any of my previous seasons, obviously this race wasn't present in season 2, but in season 1 and season 3 I really struggled around here. It's not one of my best tracks. In fact, I'd say it's probably in my bottom 3 tracks in this game in terms of how well I drive it usually. I really just still haven't gotten particularly used to it, and you know, I don't know what it's going to be like here, whether we're going to have pace around here or whether it's going to be another difficult weekend for us, full of twists and turns, and you know, we'll probably be maybe down the order a little bit. In sort of P5, P6, rather than on the podium like we have been in the past, I think 3 races in a row now, which is, yeah, pretty impressive for us. Practice came and went, and it seemed like we were at least a bit fast here, but I still felt really uncomfortable hassling the car around the track in the way that I was. Unsurprisingly, I failed the qualifying pace program. They're all like impossible at this point, to be honest. I'm convinced of it. It wanted me to do like a mid 113, I think, or something like that, and I was like, man, how do you even do a mid 113 around Imola? I'm sure like the pros, I'm sure Opmeer could probably do it, but I am not Jarno Opmeer. I play with the racing line in the corners turned on. I'm just here to have fun. I'm not here to sweat so hard that my hands fall off when playing this game. So yeah, 113 a bit out of my reach, especially because I play on a controller rather than on a racing setup as well. But I mean, you know, there are some incredible controller players out there as well, so I can't judge too hard. But yeah, I just primarily play this game for the storylines rather than for being particularly sort of high skilled. We're moving into qualifying now, and yeah, obviously Q3 would be the target, and maybe sort of top 5 or thereabouts. Théo Pourchaire initially goes fastest, and then we beat him pretty much straight away. We're into the 114s already, so that's something nice at least, and we'll see if we can continue to push that time down over the course of the next hour in qualifying. I only did 1 run that time. I only felt like I needed to, and I was right, but only just, as I ended up P14. Meanwhile, Pourchaire actually did another run and improved all the way up to P1. So yeah, really impressive performance from him. If he can carry that level of pace through the entire weekend, we could be looking at a good result, even if I'm not doing quite so well. Perhaps Pourchaire will be able to pick up the pieces for us a little bit. That would be amazing if it's like, you know, in a track where I struggle, Pourchaire is able to get the big points, because that would mean that there's not really going to be tracks that we're significantly dropping points to our Constructors' Championship rivals. Obviously this is a home race for Ferrari, as we do a 114.9 on a used set of softs to open the scoring on Q2. This is a home race for Ferrari in Italy. I think it's actually closer to the AlphaTauri factory, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I know that a lot of Tifosi typically like to show out and come give their support to Ferrari here. We improved by 2/10, and instead of 114.7. Is it good enough for us to get into Q3? Just about. It's P8. Hopefully I can do better than that further in Q3, but I'm just glad to get through to begin with. Carlos Sainz is actually out in Q2, so that is devastating for Ferrari fans. Not only him, also Perez eliminated in Q2, but both AlphaTauris through. So I'm sure they'll be incredibly happy to see that at their what is effectively their home Grand Prix. If you treat Monza as the Ferrari home race, this is the sort of AlphaTauri home race. But I think Ferrari kind of co-opt this one as well. We move on to Q3 now. I'm on a used set of softs once again. And yeah, it's going to be a few laps shootout to pole position. We do a 1:15.1 to kick things off. I'm going to need a big improvement over that if I want to be anywhere higher than P10, I reckon. because that is not quite the pace that I would want to be exhibiting. Fortunately, I actually have done a really good final lap. I knew that I had the pace in the car, I just wasn't able to find it until this point. The final run of Q3, I was 8 tenths up coming into the final sector, and we've already improved by another tenth or so, and as we come through the final Ravazzas, we're going to see if we can improve by maybe another tenth or two and come up to the line about a second faster than we were on our first flying lap of Q3. It's going to be good enough in the end to put us P2. I wonder who got pole then, because Pourchaire was fastest in both of the previous sessions. But yeah, we'll see. It was Pourchaire. Okay, that's amazing. I'm not unhappy about that in that case. Anyone else, I would have been disappointed that I got P2 but couldn't get pole. Pourchaire was the only one to get into the 113s, and what an impressive performance from him. Yeah, our first teammate to even really get into Q3, if I remember correctly. I don't think Fittipaldi ever managed it. And not only is Pourchaire doing a few Q3 appearances, but in his 5th Grand Prix weekend of his career, he has taken pole position at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. So, yeah, amazing stuff from Pourchaire there. And hopefully he can convert this into some solid points over the course of the race weekend. Obviously, I want to act as sort of a bit of a rear gunner for him. I don't want us to be fighting too much to the point that he's going to be falling down the order as a result. I know I'm likely to, wherever I shake out in this race, I'm going to be holding up the cars behind me. So I want Pourchaire to disappear off into the sunset whilst I'm holding back whoever it was behind us. I think Leclerc and Norris maybe are the cars closest to us, unsurprisingly. So those are going to be the ones that I'm going to want to be keeping at bay for now. We are able to start installing another ultimate durability upgrade, and we've only got one more of those to invest in now, and then after that's done, we are going to have all the upgrades that we can possibly muster. And yeah, now it is time for us to get into the sprint.
Well, the weather is not looking good today. We're expecting the downpours to continue into today's sprint. This will make for some very tricky conditions for all the teams.
Crofty doesn't say anything during sprint track maps. He leaves that to the race itself. But as far as my race goes, like I said, I'm just hoping to keep Pourchaire in the lead. You know, defend, be a rear gunner for him if I can, and we'll see whether I'm able to do that or not.
Pourchaire lines up on pole position, and Robinson completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and Joe, Ricciardo, Gasly, Russell, and Yuki Tsunoda, Sainz, Ocon, Fernando Alonso, and Perez, Schwartzman, Lundgaard, Mick Schumacher, and Kevin Magnussen, Stroll, Albon, Oscar Piastri, and Nicholas Latifi. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Okay, now that we've got some good points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10.
Yeah, I think a top 10 finish is going to be the minimum here, if I'm honest. I ideally want us both to be top 3. And we can grab sort of 15 points for the team or so. I mean, that's only if we get P1 and P2, of course, in the sprint. 8 points for a P1 finish. 7 points for a P2 finish, and so on. Subtracting 1 down the order until you get to P8, where you get 1 point. So yeah, to battle with our rivals, we're gonna want to get a P1, P2 finish here if we can, and then try and convert that in the race as well. I know that my start is not going to be very good here because it's raining and we're on intermediate tyres, and it's a long straight as well. So optimal opportunities for the cars behind us to get us, and we'll see what we're able to do. Immediately off the line, Norris has gone through, as has Leclerc, and now I'm going to be under pressure from Verstappen in P5 I'm going to try and have to hold him off as we come through the first chicane. I have to go out a bit wide there, or I was in danger of being taken out. The AI are absolutely ruthless into the first corner of Imola, not Monza. Yeah, for that reason I have to be extremely careful not to encounter their ire as I come through the first corner usually, and that means going a bit wide. Unfortunately, yeah, we have dropped down a couple positions, but it's not all bad news. Porsche has held on to the lead here, so if I can hold on to P4, I'm still going to be picking up 5 points in this race. It's going to be easier said than done, though, as Verstappen continues to pressure me throughout the course of this first lap, and yeah, I'm going to want to try and hold him off if I can. Zhou Guanyu doing well there to be outperforming his Mercedes teammate of George Russell, as we see a car pulling off to the track here. That is Sergio Perez, who had a disappointing qualifying, only P14 for him. Obviously, it's a very competitive grid at the moment, but still doesn't really excuse the fact that he really should be doing a bit better than P14 if he wants to hold on to that Red Bull seat. There's a lot of drivers I know in Formula 2 at the moment, or you know, in the sort of Red Bull Academy, who'd be gagging at the idea of coming up and grabbing that seat, as we, you know, we're trying to hold off Verstappen over the course of this lap, and we'll see what we can do. But yeah, drivers lining up for that Red Bull seat include, I mean, Fittipaldi obviously was Red Bull Academy, so he, I assume, would be the next logical choice, as we ride on board with Porsche here. And yeah, we're going to see him leading this race comfortably. He is absolutely cruising, and I think there's smoke coming out the back of his car. Oh my god, no! That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. Leading the sprint race, and he is out of the race. That is absolutely devastating for Théo Pourchaire. I really thought he was going to be able to bring it home for his first quote-unquote win. Obviously, this is just a sprint, but if he can win the sprint, why can't he win the race? You know, he held off Norris and Leclerc for 10 laps there, effectively. Well, 8 laps, I guess. As we cross the line to take P3, but yeah, I'm not really too fussed about that. Even though we grabbed 6 points for the team, it comes at the cost of losing 8. As Théo Pourchaire sadly fails to finish the race through no real fault of his own. I think that's the team's first mechanical failure this season, which is, you know, it's okay, but with the number of durability upgrades we've got on the car, you would really think that at this point we wouldn't be taking any like mechanical failures. Yet, yeah, that was happening to Théo Pourchaire in the sprint race. It's disappointing, but maybe he can battle his way back into the points just about. Maybe he can get sort of 1 or 2 points down in 9th or 10th, something like that. It's going to be a mountain to climb. He's going to be starting, I think, 22nd because he DNF'd later than Perez, and therefore he'll be taking a penalty later than Perez. That's just how it works. And yeah, we now have to carry the burden for our team, as it were. Obviously, he loses a bit of a claim there, but yeah, it's gonna be all Jaguar's hopes resting on our shoulders to hopefully pick up a good result in this Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Even if we don't win, just keeping sort of the championship standings competitive to Leclerc, and making sure that he doesn't run away with it as we continue to try and hold on to P2 in this constructors fight for as long as we can. It's not going to be raining on this occasion, so at least we've got a dry track to run on. I was actually getting pretty comfortable with it over the course of qualifying, so hopefully I can compete. And now it's time to get into the race.
Hello there and welcome back to Imola, home circuit of the Scuderia Ferrari. We expect to see a lot of local supporters wearing red today, and they've all turned out for what we're expecting will be a sensational event here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola, featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula 1 tracks as it's taken anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Robinson, Verstappen, Guanyu Zhou, and Ricciardo. Gasly, Russell, Fernando Alonso, and Carlos Sainz. Tsunoda, Ocon, Robert Schwartzman, and Lundgaard. Magnussen, Albon, Lance Stroll, and Oscar Piastri. Mick Schumacher, Latifi, Perez. They've taken a grid penalty, and Théo Pourchaire. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Now I want to ask you about Mick Schumacher. There's a new gearbox in the back of that car, which means a grid penalty and hopefully some excitement as they make their way through the field.
Fingers crossed that's one failure they won't have to worry about today at least. There's not much of a silver lining to starting down the field with a penalty, but I think they'll be able to make some of that back up over the course of the race.
What a weird person to focus on that's at the back of the grid. Not Perez, not Pourchaire. Mick Schumacher, they think, is going to be the one that's going to be making his way through the field over the course of the race. So, yeah, I guess keep your eyes on Mick Schumacher for the Grand Prix, and we'll see if he's capable of making up some positions, maybe moving back into the points from P20 or whatever is he's starting. I don't know exactly where it is, but yeah, I would be very surprised if he finishes any higher than P16 in this race, to be perfectly honest with you. That Haas is not very competitive at the moment. Anyway, the lights come on. And after a million years, the lights finally go out as we switch to the replay camera here. And yeah, we're going to see if we can sort of defend the position that we're in for now. As you see, Mick Schumacher there is going wheel to wheel with his teammate Oscar Piastri, as we are under pressure from Verstappen as we come through the first couple of corners, but I think we've managed to keep this position on lock for the time being. He's now under pressure from Zhou Guanyu in the Mercedes, so we are going to be able to stretch our legs a little bit as we come up to this hairpin and move to the uphill section. But as we do that, you might be able to see that there was a yellow flag, and this is why. There are a number of cars who are out of the race, including, that's right, Mick Schumacher. So, him making his way through the field didn't quite go according to plan, did it, Anthony Davidson? Because he didn't even last one lap. The other victims of that crash were Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi, and I think that Piastri and Magnussen also picked up some damage from that problem. So, yeah, massive crash, 3 retirements, and unsurprisingly a safety car called. So we're going to have to do everything we can now to sort of keep touch with the cars in front of us and maybe even gain a position on the safety car restart. You know, I'm pretty cunning when it comes to that kind of thing, so I think I'm going to try and do exactly what I usually do, go alongside as I commonly do, and yeah, now we'll see. As I'm pressuring Norris as we come in the run down to turn 1 on the safety car restart, and we're going to see if we can get ahead of him up the inside into the first corner. Maybe even have a look on Leclerc there. Not quite, but we go up the inside. We're going to switch to the outside for the exit of the chicane. Actually go fully off the track there, completely onto the grass. Not too dissimilar to what his teammate Daniel Ricciardo did in the real life Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix in 2022. He went onto the grass, and I think you know how that ended for both him and Carlos Sainz. But if you don't, then it doesn't take a genius to figure it out by what I'm saying. Either way, we do keep ahead of Norris for now, but I imagine that we're going to be under pressure from him as the duration of the lap goes on. Pretty much the only place in this entire track where I'm actually consistently faster than the AI is Agua Minerale, and I make a big mistake there. I go a bit wide as Norris kind of forces me out the way, dives up the inside, and that's going to allow him to be ahead at the chicane. We're going to try and go round the outside and switch to the inside at the chicane. That was not a very clean move at all, but you know, let me have my fun. No one got damaged. Technically, we both stayed on the track, so I think it's fair game, and we hold on to this P2 for now in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Speaking of Norris's McLaren teammate Daniel Ricciardo, he's also out of the race along with the 3 recipients of that crash earlier. I think he got tagged by Perez there. Not sure if Perez picked up any damage from that or not, as the likes of Albon and one of the Alfa Romeos, Piastri, and I think Pourchaire as well going through there. So Pourchaire not quite making up the positions you'd have hoped. That was on lap 7, of course, that happened. So I was yeah, disappointed to see that Porsche hadn't made up any more positions at the moment. We now come into the pits, and we're going to be fitting a set of medium tyres to the end. Very few races this season, now that we've got ultimate tyre wear upgrades, that we won't be doing a soft medium strategy. Hopefully I can set after Leclerc on these medium tyres, but somehow I severely doubt that that is going to be the case. Leclerc is extremely fast around here. It's one of the team's home races, as you see Porsche on the track there, getting ahead of Alex Albon up into P9, but I don't think he's pitted yet. He's still on a set of soft compound tyres, so yeah, he's not going to be finishing particularly strongly in this race, I'd have to wager to say. He's coming into the pits now. I'm not sure where he's going to shake out, but we'll find out, as the likes of Lundgaard and many others there you can see are in the pits. And we move ahead up into P4, but I think there's still Schwartzman maybe, and Albon, of course, yet to pit. They started on medium tyres, so they will be continuing a little bit further through this race, no doubt. We catch up to Albon on lap 15, and now I'm just hoping that he's going to be pitting soon. I imagine he's going to be going on to a set of hard tyres, so he should be pitting sooner rather than later, and indeed he peels off into the pits now, right after giving us DRS. That's going to be brilliant for us. It's not Schwartzman leading the race, actually, it's Sergio Perez, but I think Perez, who started in P21, if I'm not mistaken, has to pit once more as well. So yeah, he's not going to be a factor in this race, and indeed he isn't. We, however, are looking at potentially being under pressure from his Red Bull teammate Max Verstappen, who currently is in P3. He has the fastest lap of the race, and I would wager to say he's probably the fastest man on track right now, and could easily be chasing down a P2 if he plays his cards right. You see that he's closing me down a few tenths in every corner here and there, battling him back a little bit, but you know, on the whole, I think he's the faster of the two of us over the course of a whole lap. And indeed, that is proven to be true by the fact that he's made up about 4 or 5 tenths on this occasion. We move to lap 25 now, and he is dangerously close to being in my DRS range. He hasn't got DRS on this occasion, but I wouldn't be surprised if starting next lap he's going to be attacking me with the DRS into turn 1. And I mean, you know how mighty fast the AI can be on the straights. Normally, once he's got DRS, I think it's going to be game over for us. We're going to see what we can do, but yeah, I think he might be just a tiny bit too fast on this occasion for us to really do anything about it. You know, Max Verstappen, I think, has won at Imola 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaking it. I think he won in 2021 and in 2022, but in any case, we now find him in DRS range, and we're going to see if he's going to mount an attack into turn 1 on this occasion. I think he might just be a tiny bit too far back. He has a little bit of a look, but it's not really a committed move. And I mean, that was pretty much the story of all of those laps in between lap 27 and lap 31. He was having a tiny look, but never really committing to a move. Let's see if he's going to do it on this occasion as we move on to lap 31 or not, as we seem to have some kind of issue. I doubt it would be a mechanical failure this late in the race, right? Because I imagine nothing can be too severe that I couldn't limp home 1.5 laps, even if I have to give up the position to Verstappen. I might still be able to finish ahead of the likes of Norris and Joe, you know, unless the issue really is like the car is on fire. That's like all I could think of as to why that would be a problem. But you know, weirder things have happened, so we'll see. Either way, yeah, we have a mechanical failure. It's a control electronics fault, and yeah, I mean that's pretty bad actually, because if we keep running on that for very long at all, that is going to mean that we basically are going to be wearing out all of the components on the car for pretty much the entire duration of the remainder of the Grand Prix, which you know, even a lap and a half could cause severe damage to a lot of the components. So I do get why that happened, but it's still incredibly devastating when you're only 1.5 laps away from finishing P2 at one of your worst circuits on the grid. It's devastating that we weren't able to close that out, but you know, every day is a new day, and hopefully we can bounce back stronger in Miami.
They take the checkered flag then here in Imola in what has been another outstanding Grand Prix. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Well, that is not what you want to see. Charles Leclerc taking the win in a race where I've DNF'd. That is going to mean that he is gaining 25 points over me. So I think that moves him probably... I can't remember. I think I was just ahead of him in the championship, but not by much. He already outscored me in the sprint by a point. So, yeah, I think that moves him about 22 points ahead of me in the championship, something to that degree, maybe 23. Not quite sure. I guess we'll find out when we have a look at the standings. But either way, that is going to be a tough nut to crack.
So let's review the drivers' standings. And with today's impressive result, Charles Leclerc steps into the championship lead. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Well, you can't fault anything that Sergio Perez did out on the track today. He drove flawlessly, making him an easy pick.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Well, as I said, 23 points is the gap between myself and Leclerc. We still managed to hold on to P2 in the constructors for the time being, but that is not going to be easy to keep hold of if Porsche keeps having the problems that he's been having, and we can't close out races either. We do gain a couple of points in the rivalry there, just for, you know, technically being classified in the race, but it's little consolation. We're going to have to rack up some race wins, and very quickly, in places like Miami, Monaco, Baku, Canada. You know, a lot of street races upcoming now. They're not my specialty, but we're gonna have to learn how to do those pretty darn quickly if we want a chance of winning this championship. That is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure that you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.